Co-main event.
Yeah.
The rematch for the interim title. I don't like interim titles. Interim flyweight title. Brandon Moreno against Kai Kara-France. So 19-6-2 for Brandon Moreno. 24-9 for Kai Kara-France with 1 no contest. 3-inch height advantage for Moreno. 1-inch reach advantage for Moreno. Striking stats leaned slightly towards Kai Kara-France. Slightly higher output. Accuracy. Striking defense is better. Of course, the wrestling falls on the side of Brandon Moreno. 1.84 for takedown average per 15 minutes. 47% takedown accuracy, but that's up against a 86% takedown defense on Kai Kara-France's side. No submission attempts for Kai Kara-France. 0.7 for Brandon Moreno. What are your first thoughts on this one?
I feel this might be a little bit of a challenge for Moreno. Okay. And I don't feel it will be a challenge because of the camp change. I know that plays a big role into how this goes, especially because it's not like he's had a super in-depth conversation with or like relationship with James Krause. It was just from seeing him and his fighters come through the pandemic and always being ready. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I love James Krause as a coach. I think he's a phenomenal coach. He is, pays a lot of attention to detail, gives a lot of good, clear instructions that maybe his opponents can hear as well. Mm-hmm. So that might play, but the work ethic that he has and this new approach that he has to MMA, especially competing and being able to offer him something new, something fresh, he'll be able to utilize and do really well in his first time away from his family and becoming the first champion in Mexico. I mean, this guy stays and, they're doing signings and they have to keep him for an extra 2 hours and there's still people that didn't see him.
And
maybe
he's going to stay and meet everybody as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. He's an amazing guy, but in Kansas, maybe it won't be as bad. And he would have had a lot more time to prepare and focus on this fight and really go into an analytical mindset because James Krause has that as well. Mm-hmm. So they'd be able to bounce ideas off each other and kind of maybe raise Brandon Moreno's game, And if it doesn't show in this fight, I think it will in future fights because all the athletes that I've seen that have gone to James Krause have all made massive improvements in their fight IQ and the way they move and in the way they think of fights. And he's brought over people from his training camp from before that he's used to training with, like Marcel Rojo, the Argentinian guy, the Mancion as well. This other guy that's competing in Contender Series. So he still has his core group of guys that will make him not feel as much of an outsider, but now not so much of the same commodities of being at home and having all that additional stress.
Yeah. That might be a good thing, though, for him.
Yeah. I think it will be as well.
There's a challenge here for me is that he's not fought anybody else other than Figueiredo since 2020. And Figueiredo's got a very different striking style to Kai Kara-France. And his striking output, Brandon Moreno's, in my opinion, has improved since the last time he fought Kai Kara-France. And I think his confidence has grown in his striking as well. Mm-hmm. But then I don't know whether that might play into Kai Kara-France's game because we're not going to expect Kai Kara-France to try and grapple and wrestle with Moreno. And if you go back to the first fight, so I think it was pretty clear that Kai Kara-France won the first round. I think he was more effective, scored a knockdown in that first round. But then the second and third round, Moreno was able to put more pressure on him, land more strikes, started landing that head kick on the end of his combinations as well. But didn't wrestle at all. Not at any point did he try and grapple with him. And I think that Moreno this time around, it would be smart for him to add grappling into his game this time around. I don't know whether he's going to be more confident because he outstruck him in the second and third round last time, and now his striking's better than it was since their first fight. But then, as you said, Kai Kara-France has improved as well, and I think his striking power has been proven, a couple of times in his last 3 fights, hasn't it?
Yes, but he does fight the hands real well. I think Brandon Moreno probably will be able to get his back in a situation because he has had his back taken. He gives it up a little bit.
Took his back, didn't he?
Bontorin.
Oh, Bontorin, yeah.
Bontorin took his back, and although Bontorin is extremely strong and very well developed in the jiu-jitsu aspect, the way Brandon Moreno finished Davidson Figueiredo to win the belt with that submission was absolutely beautiful. Mm-hmm. He set it up like psychologically as well as trapping hands and making frames to where Figueiredo was like, oh, you idiot. And then he got caught in it. So Brandon, I feel, is very aware of the way that Kai Kara-France fights hands. And he's very aware that the power and the danger that he faces fighting him because of that right hand. But I feel like if he uses that wrestling and if he keeps using those kicks, he'll be able to, win again. Because for me, what the kicks did was stop. I'm just going to call him France because his whole name is too damn long for me to be repeating it. It would stop France from throwing that right hand. Because you're choosing, like, do I block this or do I counter? Mm-hmm. And if you're in the wrong angle, right, if you think you're in the correct space to counter, but you're in the wrong angle, you're going to get head kick knocked out. You have to be very aware. You have to be either a lot closer or, like, off to an angle. And if you're not, it's very dangerous. So you kind of always... He always was interrupted because Brandon would finish with a kick, which also created a lot more space. Mm-hmm. Because if I can touch you with my leg, then you're not in that knockout power. And if you're coming, I can see it more. It's kind of like shooting from a distance. So that being added to the game was very intelligent for me because it was pace, but it was keeping the distance using his kicks. Mm-hmm. But this being a 5-round fight, Brandon's come off whole bunch of 5-round fights. You know, that's all he's been doing. So it's not something that's...
Kai's never been 5 rounds, has he?
Yeah.
So which way are you going? You going with Brandon Moreno?
Yeah, I'm going with Brandon Moreno.
Do you think you can stop him? Do you think he can sub him?
I think he subs him maybe 3rd round.
Yeah. Yeah. Because Kai's been stopped. I think he's been knocked out twice and he's been subbed 3 times, I think, in his losses. But then, people ebb and flow in their career, and he certainly has changed. He's certainly developed in the last couple of years. Like his back defense against Bontorin and Askarov were impressive. To beat Askarov by decision is very impressive. It doesn't surprise me that he knocked Garbrandt out, but it surprised me that he stood and traded with Garbrandt, knowing how powerful he is. And
Kai Kara-France has also started working with this breathing instructor that Israel Israel trains with, and all of the guys at City Kickboxing started to train with. And the whole thing is about using cold therapy and breathing works to be able to not only control your output and your energy, but keep calm during stressful situations. And I think that's what has helped him because this will be the 4th time that he's been working with him. And we see a massive improvement in his confidence, his belief in himself, and that has shown in the fight. Because sometimes I see fighters that... Man, they have this confidence that I'm just like, where you get that from? And they're able to do fantastic things because of this confidence. It's sometimes people with like really good skills aren't able to do it because they just lack it, and it's just that tiny millisecond that you're missing to be able to, that you're away from something spectacular. And if you believe in yourself, you have that commitment to fully go for it. And I feel like now he does. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be a much tougher fight for Brandon, although the first one was tough already, and it was a great fight.
So you think Brandon does it then?
Yeah, I think Brandon does it.
Yeah. I think he wins a decision. I think he's going to have Kai Kara-France's back a couple of times, but I think Kai's back defense has improved a lot, and we'll see. I mean, obviously Moreno's got great neck attacks, but I can see this one being a hard work 5 rounds.